And I think that's actually part of the problem that we've faced on City Council over the last several years. What we need to do, and what this City Council has not done, and what I've advocated for, is that before we start the budget process, before we hand it over to Jim Armstrong, our City Administrator, we set the priorities. We say, this is what's most important, this is the second most, this is the third most important priority. That's how we need to do a budget. It makes perfect sense. So there will be areas that I would say are in the third priority level where there are ample opportunities for cuts, and we need to make cuts.
Well, I'd like you to remind you about the first Saturday of the month, the Mayor's Community Outreach Breakfast from 7 to 9 in the morning at City Hall. This is a time that we can sit there and talk to each other and come up with ideas. Santa Barbara is a rich community. We don't have to sit there and just have everything come from government. We can have the residents and the government working together because, like Steve said, we are going to really hit the wall. You know, this recession is not going to be over for a while. And all of us are going to be affected by it. So I think we need to brainstorm ideas and get along and talk and come up with innovative ways to come up with solutions of this magnitude that's going to hit us all. It's going to keep going. I can't see it stopping.
Isaac? I wouldn't reduce, I would eliminate all of the funds that's being spent on these rollouts and roundabouts. I know that they say it's grant money, but I would eliminate it. We can find better use of that money.
All right, let's flip the coin over. Answer this question. Identify one city expense item you would increase and why. Again, 30 seconds. Let's start with Lee.
Well, I think there's been, it goes to the number of sworn police officers over time. I think we have to figure out how to do that. Unfortunately, each and every year there's been turnover for one reason or another, and the council over and again has said we need to overhire when necessary in order to keep that level of public safety there. And it takes, and because it takes a while for someone when they're newly hired to go through the academy to finally get on patrol on their own. So that is some areas that has to at least stay level, and if not, make sure that we can increase over time.
All right, Dale?
Having gone through this just recently, I have a ready answer for this one. Some of my fellow council members are obsessed with the number of sworn officers in the police department. I tried to explain this during the budget hearings, and this is why the reason that I was so desperately trying to hold on to just 2 civilian support positions in the police department. It doesn't matter how many sworn officers you have. If you have 15 or 20 of them doing desk jobs at the police station that civilians could do. We need to get back the civilian support positions that we have cut over the last 6 years. We've gotten rid of 18 support positions. The work didn't go away, the people did. And so sworn officers are doing work that civilians could do.
Well, you know, this lady that I'm talking about, she's always been for peace and for human rights. And I think we should honor her and start talking and really have not just money, but our community, you know. We are, you know, got the, you know, you can feel it when you have lightning in a jar. I think it was Henry Winkler said that when he played Fonzie on Happy Days. You know when we have a community that we're all working together. We don't have a community work. We have a police state. The police are going to do this. They're going to go after the gangs. They're going to solve this. We're going to solve the homeless problem. We're giving homeless people one-way tickets out of town, just like New York. You know, if we talk and work on solutions, I think we can come up with some solutions and have a better community. If we're going to sit there and, oh, the police are going to take care of this, and City Hall is going to take care of it, we need to have, you know, clout that we are a community and we are working on situations. It's never going to be perfect, but we're working on them and they're getting better. We can see it. Right now it's just like, you know, gang, we can't see the end of the gang. Or the homeless. Well, yeah, we're going to try to stop from panhandling. There's all kinds of ideas and things we can do to make our community better, and you'll know it when you really work on it.
Isaac?
I would increase the funding for the fire department at least to rehire one employee that was laid off. That employee, I don't remember her exact title, but she was in charge of training citizens for the CERT program. The CERT program is a program that prepares citizens to be prepared in case of disasters. If the first responders can't get to you within a certain period of time, that is a very important program. I went through that program and I know what bad it was.
thousands of people in the last few months. Gangs are the number one priority. People in the neighborhoods are truly afraid. And so if there's one area where we can reallocate money, I've sat on the Youth Gang Task Force, we can fund that task force because they've identified solutions to the problem, root solutions to the problem. We need to invest money in implementing those solutions.
Our young people don't trust us.
All right, let me ask another question about the budget. Identify one way to enhance city revenues that you would support. We've talked about the bed tax, now let's talk about all forms of city revenue. Identify one way to enhance city revenue that you would support. Let's start with Dale.
It's too bad my colleague Doss Williams isn't here. He's looking for new ways to enhance city revenues by new taxes. I think that what we have to do is focus on the basics of city government. I keep coming back to this. I don't know, obviously part of the problem that we're facing, when we see double-digit declines month after month in TOT and sales tax revenue, obviously, a huge part of the problem we're facing is the overall national economic climate. There's not much we can do about that. What we can do is make sure that Santa Barbara itself is a safe, attractive place to be, and we will attract people here. Obviously, everyone in this room knows how important the tourist industry is to Santa Barbara. So if we want to increase revenues, focus on the basics of city government. We need clean, safe streets, and revenue will increase.
Bob?
God, I hate to beat this all the time, but I think to honor Mayor Bloom and the mayor's community outreach breakfast and have this community start talking to each other. We live in a community that's, tweeters and Facebook and watching TV and our headphones. We don't talk to each other. We don't come up with solutions. And we have, just like any other community in the whole world, we have the same problems. And we need to, never going to be perfect. We can sit there and work on it and have our young people trust us and the homeless people trust us and work together. The other day, Bob Casey's on State Street, and there's 3 people sitting on a bench. So he sits there and, hey, what are you guys doing, panhandling? One person had a sign. So one person gets up, he's eating an ice cream cone, he starts crying. And so he sits down on his bench. So here's Bob Casey sitting on the bench doing, it's just insane what we're doing out there.
Isaac?
I'm not for increasing revenue just for the sake of increasing revenue. If the money was going to go to a specific use, and we could be assured that it was well spent, we're going to get the results of what it's being spent for, then yes, I would be in favor of increased revenue. But simply because of the fact that the budget is short now, and one of the reasons why it's short, because the funds that they did have access to wasn't spent wisely.
Steve?
Well, walking in the neighborhoods, almost every woman I talked to said, when are you going to write that lease to Target out at the airport? That's $1 million a year to us. Public safety is a big issue. I thought the other day, if someone asked me for some money to help support public safety, I'd probably give it as a donation. If somebody asked me, would you sponsor a squad car? I'd probably do that. And I think most businesses would be proud to have their business name on a fire truck or a squad car. So I think we should employ some of the basic principles of private enterprise, apply them to government. You might be surprised how much revenue we generate.
Elaine?
I think to be fully honest with the question, you have to realize that any kind of tax revenue increase would go to the vote of the people. It's not something a council or mayor could really just implement. And so what the council can do, and it's something I've already mentioned earlier, which is implementing the mechanics around AB 811, which would allow property owners to install solar panels without dealing with the upfront cost upfront. If they can put a personal assessment on their property tax rolls over 20 years, it stays with the property. It's a voluntary measure, but it'll also, I think, increase job opportunities in the area, increase sales tax for the purchase of those materials, reduce energy costs over time,